everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and today I am going to create a mini notepad and a little wrapped cover to store it in. So I'm going to start off by creating the notepad. This is just plain old copy paper. I actually have a stock of 8 sheets here and I'm cutting it down to 3 1/4 wide by 4 1/4 tall. And if you cut to this dimension, you'll be able to fit 6 of these on one sheet of US letter size paper. And this is just plain old copy paper, nothing fancy. And as I mentioned, am cutting 8 sheets at a time. So in total, I can get 6 per each of the 8 sheets for a total of 48 sheets. And that feels like a good amount of paper for these little mini notepads. The next thing I'll do is add to this stack a backer panel that is cut to the same size, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, but that is heavyweight cardstock, so 120 pound. I'm going to use a rubber band to hold these all together, and I've tapped this so that at the bottom it's nice and flush. So everything's nice and level at the bottom. That might mean that at the top it's a little bit uneven, but that's totally okay because I want this to be one of those notepads that you can tear away at the top. And to create that, I'm just using some PVA glue. This glue is Lenco pH neutral. It's actually a bookbinding glue, so it's designed for things like this. And what makes this a good glue to use is because it's flexible. So over time, it's not going to become brittle and crack, and it will hold your papers together really well. So when you're doing this though, just do thin layers. Do multiple thin layers, as many thin layers as you need to make it so that at the top it's a little bit level. So if you had a lot of uneven cuts, not a problem. With enough layers of glue, you'll be able to level that off and give it a really nice finish. And it's not going to make it any harder to tear the pages out. So now to make the cover. I'm going to show you 2 ways of doing this because it kind of depends on what you prefer, which you might go for. So with this first one, you'll need 1 sheet of pattern paper that's 6 wide by 4 1/2 tall, and you want to score that at 3 1/2 and 3 3/4. Another sheet of pattern paper that's cut to 5 inches wide by 4 1/2 tall. You want to score that again at 3 1/2 by 3 3/4. Then you'll need a panel that could be solid or pattern paper at 3 1/2 wide by 4 1/2 tall. And for the pocket, 4 1/2 wide by 2 1/2 tall. And you want to score that along 3 edges, the left, the right, and the bottom. And all of those score lines, I'm actually telling you scoring from the right hand side because I use the all-in-one tool and that's where the 0 marker is. So from the right hand side, you want to score 3 1/2, 3 3/4. So with this first method, the effect of the difference is that this first method, the pattern papers are overlapping on that back panel. And so as a result, your back panel is much more reinforced. So you might like that if you need something really kind of sturdy to write on. So I'm just going to glue the front cover and the back cover to each other just on these outermost panels here. So this wrapped cover will have a 1/4 inch gusset, and on the right side it wraps all the way around to the front. So my video today is actually part of a Not Too Shabby giveaway hop, and along this hop you'll see inspiration featuring all of the subscription clubs. I'm crafting with the box of the month, which comes with these 2 gorgeous paper pads. This one that I'm crafting with right now is called Butterflies in Bloom. And I'm going to make a second one, and for that one I'm going to use the second paper pad called Tulips for Sale. So with this last panel here, I am going to take my pocket, I'm going to glue the bottom tab to the back of this panel. The bottom tab is getting glued to the back of the panel. But the two side tabs I'm gluing to the front of the panel. And the reason for this is so that it gives a little bit of extra space between the pocket and the panel so that you can slip that the backer of the mini notepad that we just made. But the reason why I glued the bottom tab around to the back is because if you glued it to the front, it kind of creates like a little catch point. And so normally I would just Scotch tape over that so that your backer panel can kind of smoothly glide over it. But since we're doing this on a separate panel anyways, why not just glue it to the back, and then you can avoid having to do the Scotch tape trick. So that is our little mini notepad cover. For my closure, I'm just gonna use some hook and loop dots. So these are adhesive, and I put the fuzzy side on the right side, the one that wraps around to the front. Then I put the matching piece right on top of it. And even though these have adhesive on them already, I still always put a dot of liquid adhesive just to really make sure it's permanent. And then when I close that wrap onto the front cover, the matching side of the hook and loop will find its spot. And so here's the final notepad. You've got a nice stiff backer card that can slot into that pocket, and that's what's going to hold it inside this little wrapped cover. So really fun, fast, easy to make, not a lot of papers, and great for little just because gifts or to use for little grocery lists. So here's the second method, and personally I think I like this one better, so I wanted to keep them both in just to give you some options. So with this one, the first piece of pattern paper I've cut to 3 3/4 wide by 4 1/2 tall, and you want to score that 3 1/2. The next piece is 6 inches wide by 4 1/2 tall, and you want to score that one at 1 1/4, 1 1/2, 5 inches, 5 1/4. Then the last two pieces are the same, 3 1/2 by 4 1/2, and then the pocket is 4 1/2 by 2 1/2, scored 1/2 inch on the left bottom and right edge. So the top front cover and back cover are the main pieces that are going to be different. And the way that this one's going to be different is that we're going to reinforce the front instead of the back of this. And so to start, I'm going to put some double-sided adhesive on just that little thin 1/4 inch strip. And the reason why I left the 1/4 inch, because that's basically going to be the spine or the gusset, is so that from the front you get a nice finish and you don't have a raw cut edge. It'll wrap around to the side. And then on the back side, there's going to be a 3/4 inch panel that we can glue our front cover onto. But this one's a little bit tricky because I am actually stacking two score lines on top of one another, and they need to fold together. So that's not the most ideal situation, but if you want a nice finish on your front cover where you have that nice rounded edge, then you kind of have to train your papers, and liquid adhesive is definitely the way to go with that, so that you can stack those two score lines and have them bend together. Then the 3 1/2 by 4 1/2 panel, this is actually going to reinforce the front cover. So I'm not attaching a pocket to this, I'm just attaching this straight onto my front cover. And so the effect of this is that your front cover feels nice and substantial, and the pocket then actually attaches to the that backmost panel. So the pocket is still going to go in the same spot, but here I do need to use my little Scotch tape trick so that the backer card of my mini notepad can glide all the way into the pocket without catching on that little bit of the glue tab. So just two different ways, like in effect, it all looks the same really, but it's just whether you feel like you need you like the cover to be a little bit thicker and feel a little bit more substantial, which I tend to like because of our hook and loop closure. It feels like you don't have to be quite as precious, or like you don't have to open it very gingerly at the risk of tearing anything, right? So I think I personally like this better, but I can see that if you are using this and you're writing on it and you're out and about a lot, you might not have a desk or a table to write on. Might be nice to have it more reinforced from the back. So kind of just depends. Maybe try both ways, see what you like. Not everybody likes stacking two layers of cardstock and having two fold lines stack on top of each other either. So that might not be something that you want to do. So there's always different approaches to making the same project, and you can just do what works for you. So here's a final look. I actually ended up making 4 of these, and they're really fun. I just used a bit of extra, some of the coordinating ephemera to put right where that hook and loop is, so that you kind of know that that's where to pull to open the little notepad. I hope you enjoyed my project today, and do hop along, expand the description box below. You'll see a list of everybody else's video and as well the giveaway entry form. Thanks so much for checking out my video today, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye!